Well, hello there, dear viewers. It's nice to see you have found your way back to hear us tell you about yet another obscure comic character you all love. Today, we will be talking about one from probably one of the best adaptations of comics brought to the small screen. Without further ado, let's talk about the history of Spider Carnage from Spider-Man, the animated series. I'm Andrew Lapamardo, your narrator, and this is Marvelous Videos. Spider-Man has always been one of our favorite Marvel characters. It's not just because of his powers or skills, but also because of Peter Parker's character. Peter's an ordinary college student who often gets bullied by the tough kids. He gets superhuman powers and becomes a superhero. In his adventures to save the world, his daily life problems are not overlooked, but detailed, which makes it relatable and interesting in its own way. Spider-Man's new movies in the MCU have created storms at the box office, especially with No Way Home, which speaks a lot about everyone's love for the character. It's not just in movies. Spider-Man had many excellent comic series as well. Comics with stories like A Death in the Family from Peter Parker, Spider-Man 1999, Back in Black from The Amazing Spider-Man, and several more are brilliant and have created buzz in comics. When it comes to animation, Spider-Man the Animated Series, which was aired on the Fox Kids network in 1994, impressed everyone with its spine-chilling storylines and praiseworthy iterations of different characters. Some of the villain origins stood out more than in the comics, and in today's video, we will be talking about one such villain, Spider Carnage. Yes, you heard me right. The chaotic and malevolent Carnage symbiote fuses with Peter Parker to become Spider Carnage in the 12th episode of Season 5, I Really Hate Clones. The episode also tells the origin story of the Scarlet Spider, as the two characters are intertwined in the story. The comics have a different origin story for Spider Carnage, but in today's video, we will be unfolding the history of the vicious villain Spider Carnage from the animated series. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
I wondered when you turned up again, dear clone. In my costume, no less.
Spider Carnage, the destroyer of reality. The story continues from the Beyonders' experiments with the team of superheroes and supervillains. Spider-Man is now in a reality where the entirety of Queens and neighboring cities have been destroyed. Peter worries about Aunt May, but before he can go search for her, the Beyonder appears and tells him that his Aunt May does not exist in this reality. Peter loses his mind and tells the Beyonder that he is done with his games, but is then further perplexed by the Beyonder's next lines. He tells Peter that the cause of the destruction of this world is none other than Spider-Man. Peter is confused, but before he can ask any more questions, the building underneath him explodes as the Hobgoblin and the Green Goblin fly around. Spider-Man follows them to the Daily Bugle, where J. Jonah Jameson is trying to reach out for military assistance over the radio. The two goblins are searching for a microwave broadcaster kept under security in Daily Bugle. Spider-Man tries to stop them, but they refer to him as their boss. Both sides are confused till Hobgoblin informs Green Goblin about the clone their boss has warned them about. They both destroy the building and take away the microwave broadcaster. Spider-Man attempts to stop them, but is caught by a vicious-looking version of him, none other than Spider Carnage. He is quickly overpowered by his symbiotic doppelganger, and is almost about to die when Madam Web transports Spider-Man to her place, where he meets other Peter Parkers. He later finds out that these different versions of Spider-Man share the same life, but are from many different realities. There is a Peter who is undergoing his mutation phase with 6 arms. There is a Peter in an armored suit who is a multi-billionaire. Peter Parker who got a hold of Doc Ock's metal arms. A Peter with no superpowers who simply played the role of Spider-Man in the movies. And Scarlet Spider, whose reality is the one in which Spider-Man first arrived. Scarlet Spider looked different from Peter and had a different name, Ben Reilly. Madam Web uses her powers to cast a visual and Ben narrates his story, and that of Spider Carnage. In his reality, Peter had lost both his uncle and aunt, and started losing his mental stability up until he met a scientist who was a genius in genetic cloning, Miles Warner. He cloned Spider-Man, but the clone escaped. Ben thought he was the clone, and so he changed his look and adapted the name Scarlet Spider. The other version started festering hatred for him and lost it when Dr. Kurt Connors revealed that Ben Reilly was the real Peter Parker. In an attempt to stop the crime lord Kingpin, they both encounter each other. Kingpin has devised an interdimensional portal. While Peter engaged in fighting Ben, the Carnage symbiote got drawn to his hatred through the interdimensional portal and bonded with him, creating the unstoppable symbiote-human bond named Spider Carnage. One of the Spider-Man interrupts and asks how his reality became part of their problem, and then the Beyonder shows them how. In the future, Spider Carnage detonates an explosion using the microwave broadcaster and wipes off all realities. While the explosion has reached the Beyonder's reality, he has used all his power to roll back time to this very point where the catastrophe can be undone with all their help. The team of Spider-Men arrive at Kingpin's location to stop the detonation. They somehow manage to sneak past Kingpin's security and lose a few Spider-Men in the process. In his mutation period, Peter Parker transforms into a human spider and attacks Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man. Seeing Spider Carnage winning the battle, the Beyonder uses all the power that is left in him to transport the human spider to his dimension. With the Beyonder's last help, the team manages to stop the detonation, but Spider Carnage escapes to another reality. The reality where Peter Parker has prospered to become a multi-billionaire. Madam Web tracks him down, and he is seen to be inside Peter Parker's Science Foundation, trying to recreate the bomb. Madam Web, this time however, can only transport the Spider-Man, and Peter Parker, along with whom the series has been narrated, decides to go. Peter is shocked upon entering this reality. In this world, everyone is cheering for him, and the entire world is a big fan of his deeds. Very similar to Tony Stark's. He searches for Spider Carnage in Peter's Science Foundation lab and is confronted by a robot hijacked and controlled by Spider Carnage. Peter soon learns that the robot is voice-controlled and is acquainted with his voice. He commands the robot to put him down, and the robot obeys. Spider Carnage, who also shared the same voice, commands the robot to destroy Peter. The two conflicting commands confuse the robot and fry his interface. Spider-Man, however, gets trapped by Spider Carnage, and Kingpin, as Spider Carnage, disguises himself as the Peter of this universe and attends the press conference. Peter manages to free himself and confronts Spider Carnage. They take the fight to the terrace, where Spider Carnage is about to detonate the interdimensional bomb. Spider-Man learns that Spider Carnage also shares the same memory as Peter Parker, and Peter Parker always had love and compassion for his dear ones. They bring Uncle Ben of this universe, who is still alive, and upon seeing him, Peter Parker breaks down in tears as his memories with Uncle Ben keep playing on repeat in his mind. He tries hard to free himself from the Carnage symbiote, but fails. And so to save everyone else from his wrath, he dives into the teleporter, vaporizing himself. And with this, the story of Spider Carnage comes to an end. Conclusion. Although the episode showcases the wrath of the vicious Spider-Man Carnage hybrid, it also emphasizes Spider-Man's true character. His hatred for his reality aided his transformation into the Spider Carnage. He was already disturbed and mentally unbalanced, even before the cloning process, owing to the death of his aunt and uncle. The story reveals the two tributaries of misery for the inevitable. One half of him sought a life full of hatred, as he could not accept loss and grief, whereas the other, that is Ben Reilly, chose to live a life in solitude, yet living up to his name and purpose, which was saving the world from bad guys. Written by John Semper and animated by Tokyo Movie Shinsa, the cartoon series is amazing, and the story of Spider Carnage is a must-watch. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
You'll be nothing more